Sales are easy. It's making the call that's hard. Hi, my name is Dave Gallegos. I've spent the last 25 years in the mortgage industry and a lifetime in sales. In this show, I'll bring that experience, expertise, and the experts I've met to you with actionable advice to improve your sales. It's not magic. You just make the call. Hi, everyone. I'm Dave Gallegos. This is Make the Call, episode number 24. We're getting close to 25. Going to get over the hump, be pushing 30. I'm excited about that. I'm the president of Zenith Home Loans. This podcast is really directed towards loan officers and real estate agents, primarily loan officers and real estate agents, but any salesperson on the planet can benefit from these teachings because the fundamentals of sales success, I think, are pretty universal. And so you definitely could get a lot out of this. So I hope that you're enjoying the podcast, and thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. Please give me a rating if I do a good job and you'd like to listen to this some more. So thank you. I appreciate it. So for the last several episodes, I've been talking about, I came up with this analogy that the skills and the tasks necessary to be successful as a salesperson are similar and very consistent with the same types of tasks and skills that you would need to become a master baker. And a baker, someone who bakes cakes. People who bake cakes use the same ingredients. They follow a recipe. They use the exact ingredients that are in that recipe, and they use the exact measurements in order to make the cake. And then the first time they make a cake, it's not going to be nearly as good as the 50th cake because they're going to get better at it every time they make the cake. And the same thing applies when it comes to sales, especially on the loan officer and the real estate side of things. There's some specific tasks that you have to complete. That's like the list of the ingredients. And you have to complete those tasks in the right volume, in the right. So one of the most common things in successful coaching programs is to have 10 conversations a day as a loan officer, because your job as a loan officer is to talk to people who want to borrow money or need to borrow money, and you want to talk to people who can refer you to people who need or want to borrow money. And if you have 10 conversations a day, 50 a week, 200 a month, 2,400 a year, you're going to have a lot of conversations and you're going to do a lot of business. If you talk to one or two people a day, you're going to have 10 conversations a week, 40 conversations a month, and only 480 conversations a year. Not going to get the same results. You're not going to get the same cake. So it's important that you understand that that's what we've established. And then last episode, we talked about the importance of being surrounded by successful people, and that you need to make sure that your environment and the people that you're associating with are living the kinds of lives that you aspire to, right? If you're surrounded by people who are doing as good as you and nobody cares and you want to do more, but they don't want to do more, then you're not going to do more. It's just harder to do. They're the type of people that when you sign up to get good at something, when you sign up for a coaching program, they're going to tell you why it's not going to work. You don't need those people in your life, man. They're just bringing you down. That environment, the people that you associate with, is such an important factor in your success and your development. So you got to keep that in mind. And then it's important to make an investment in yourself by getting into these coaching programs, getting into these personal and professional development programs that will actually improve you. And we talked last week, especially about how there's so many of these programs available, right? You know, our industry is filled, and the sales industry in general, they're good at selling, right? So they're great at coming up with things to sell you. It's how capitalism works. And so we're being marketed to all the time that everybody's got the right program. This is the program. If you do this program, this is going to change everything. And there is no get rich quick in this business. And if anybody's marketing anything to you that is like a get rich quick thing, you should know, you should run and not give them your money, because this is never going to be a get rich quick thing. This takes hard work. It takes practice. It takes failure. It takes getting up and doing it again and again and again and again. The first time you make a cake is not going to be as good as the 50th cake. 50th cake is going to be a masterpiece in comparison, right? Same thing in this business. And so, you know, the fact that you're being marketed to sign up to so many programs is, you know, so what do you do about that? Like, how do you know which one to choose? You got to do the research, right? You got to talk to the people in the program, talk to your Talk to people that are more successful at you. Don't talk to the people who are going to give you bad advice about, or they're going to give you advice that isn't going to serve you. Like if you want to get better, you can. So don't talk to people who don't make investments in themselves to get better. Talk to people who do. And then go all in and block out that noise, man. You cannot associate with those people anymore. They're not going to be supporting you and cheerleading you on, because I'm a big, huge believer in coaching, and I think it's super powerful. And you've got to do the research yourself, find proof that the results of promises are attainable, and then you got to jump in with both feet. Okay. So that pretty much sums up the last 3 episodes. And again, it's not get rich quick. You should expect to, when you get into one of these programs, you should expect to suck at first, right? We suck before we're good at everything in life. We sucked at riding a bike before we were good at riding a bike. We sucked at driving a car until we were good at riding a car. This is no different. You're going to suck on your first cold call compared to the 25th phone call or the cold call or the 100th cold call. Like, it's just going to be so much better. So you should expect to execute and fail and learn from that failure and grow from that and execute again. And you need to keep that repetition. You need to keep that formula going, because that's the formula for success right there. It's execute, fail, learn, grow, and execute again. And then fail, learn, grow, and execute again. Fail, learn, grow, execute again and again and again until you master the skill, because that's how you do it. The more you practice, the better you'll get at anything. What did Kobe Bryant say about kids signing up for coaching programs? It's just math. If you do the work, you're going to get better. You just will, because you're doing the work. So that's the issue, is that you got to do the work. There's no easy, fast, do it without any effort work going on here. It takes a lot of effort. The biggest mistake I see loan officers make in their careers is that they think it's going to be easy. They think that when they signed up for something, it was going to be a magic pill, and they were going to have incredible results without a lot of work and effort. Well, that's wrong. That's never going to be the case. You should never expect that, ever. So take that, put that out of your mind. Here's the magic pill. You know what the magic pill is? Hard work. The magic pill is hard work and effort and practice and failure and learning and execute. That's the formula: fail, learn, grow, and execute again. Okay, so keep that in mind. But that's the great news. Here's the great analogy for this, because in this mortgage business, man, I have seen this play out so many times. It cracks me. Well, it's sad. Actually, it doesn't crack me up, but it cracks me up because I see people who do it. And then when you talk to them about it, they're like, no, I don't do that. It's like, well, okay. But yes, you do, because you're on your 8th coaching program in the last 8 years, and you're still doing the same amount of business you were doing 8 years ago. Great analogy for this is that imagine that you have a piece of land and there's water. It's, there's a water table. You have to dig to get to the water, but there's a piece of land and you need the water for whatever reason. And so you start digging the well. You're shoveling the dirt and you dig down a foot, 2 feet, 3 feet. There was never going to be any water at 3 feet, 4 feet, 5 feet, 6 feet. Keep going. 7 feet. What I see most loan officers do is they dig down 3 feet and they're like, there's no water here. I'm going to go dig another hole because I'll probably find water there. And then they go on and they dig another hole and they don't find any water 3 feet down, and they stop and they go on to another place on the land and they dig another hole, and they on and on and on this goes. Drives me crazy. Someone else comes along and knows that there's water, and he starts digging and he keeps digging until he hits water. He goes down 100 feet and there's plenty of water. It's a gusher. He can't keep up with all the water. And so, once he caps that well off, he's got a really highly producing well, and he goes on to his next hole, and he digs another hole in another part of the land, and he keeps digging. He doesn't stop at 3 feet. He keeps going another 100 feet, and he finds water, and he does it again. Meanwhile, the first character, our loan officer that signs up for every program, digging wells, digging another well, never hitting water. And it's sad. I feel bad because they keep making these investments, but they never follow through on them. They never commit. They never block everything else out. They never quit looking for another easy button. They don't practice. and get better and better and better all the time. And it's sad and it's frustrating, and I'm frustrated for them. This analogy is a great one. So I have this picture in my mind of a field somewhere where somebody's got all these holes and no water, and then another field somewhere where there's like 3 wells and they're pumping water like it's going out of style, because that first well was like your realtor production business and your realtor pillar business, and the second well is like CPAs, and the third well is like financial advisors, and the fourth well is like your client database. And you've got a solid business there, 4 legs of your business, and you're getting referrals consistently from all 4 legs. Yeah, but when you start, it's really hard work. Darren Hardy did a great similar analogy to this. If you've never seen this, and I guess it was first done by Jim Rohn, but I saw it, or maybe Zig Ziglar did it. But the first time I saw it was Darren Hardy, and he is the example of a well. You remember the old wells, the well pumps where you had to pump the water, you had to pump and pump and pump and create enough pressure in the pipe for the water to rise all the way up from however the depth, however far down the water was, until the water would get to the top. And when you first started pumping those wells, my grandpa had one of these wells in a place up in Breckenridge when I was a kid. So I remember this. When you started pumping, no water would come up. Like, you would pump like crazy and nothing would happen. You'd be like, Grandpa, what's up? He goes, you got to keep pumping. So you keep pumping, and you're like, you have to pump really fast, and you keep pumping and you keep pumping. You're pumping, you're like sweating. It's like, I don't know, it's crazy. And there's no water. It's like, Grandpa, this doesn't work. And my grandpa would be like, keep pumping. And so keep pumping and keep pumping. And pretty soon there's a little trickle of water would come out. And you're like, is that it for all that work and all that effort? He's like, keep pumping. And so you keep pumping that well. You got to keep pumping and pumping and pumping. And pretty soon the water goes from being a trickle to a stream, from a stream to a, it's coming out, and now it's a gusher. And once that well has all that pressure and all that water is going there, you don't have to pump really fast anymore. In fact, that's kind of a waste of time. You really can't, because there's so much pressure. But what you do have to do is just pump really slowly, keep the pressure on, make sure that the pressure doesn't go down. And now the water is gushing. It's the same thing for mortgage lending, okay? It's the same thing for all the coaching programs that you've heard about. It's the same thing. Todd Duncan's, the core, Go Coaching, Carl White Coaching. It doesn't matter the program. They're all the same in that if they're all giving you the similar type advice, nothing's going to change. It's not going to help if you don't do the work, and you don't do it long enough and consistently enough to get the result. And you're wasting your money if you're going from program to program to program. The program isn't the issue. You are. That's the best piece of information that I can give you. And that information is, it's not the program, it's you. This was always going to be you. The program is the recipe. It's you, the baker, that is the issue that you have to address and that you have to get comfortable with. The most successful loan officers commit to a process. They block everything else out. They continue to implement and perfect their skills. They know that they're going to be better a year from now than they are today. And it's going to take time. So if you had a goal of becoming a $100 million producer 5 years from now, you can't go from 0 to 100 million, and you can't be closing 10 million a month in 90 days. Okay. It's going to take longer than that, but you can become a $100 million producer in a 5-year period very easily. And all of these coaching programs, in fact, most of them would probably say you can do it faster than that, but not without the work, right? Not without the effort, not without the commitment, and not without blocking out all the other noise, and making sure that you're surrounded by all the most successful people in a supportive environment, and the people are your cheerleaders, and they're helping you, and they're encouraging you. That's the deal. You can't just go out and dig another hole. The magic pill is hard work. That's the best piece of information that I could possibly give anyone in this business. Jim Rohn, great quote. How long should you try? And the answer was until. He had a great analogy. The answer is you try until. How long did you give your average baby to walk? Is a great story. You ever hear him say this? He's like, we're going to keep trying until my kid walks, right? You would never let your kid start trying to walk. If you had a new kid, you would never let your kid start walking. And if he couldn't do it, he keeps falling down. You say, screw it. He's not going to be able to walk. We're going to carry him for the rest of his life. You would never do that, right? Like your answer would be, my kid's going to keep trying until he walks. And so how long are you going to keep trying to become a $100 million producer if that's your goal, or a $50 million producer? You're going to keep going until, but don't keep trying new programs. Stay focused on the programs. If the evidence exists that the program works, and there's plenty of evidence for all of these programs that they do work, then just stay focused on it and do the work. That's the best piece of advice. And it is something that you can count on. And isn't that nice to know that, like, if I do the work, it's always going to work? That's the truth. That's it for today's episode. This is Make the Call number 24. Sometimes I get a little fired up, and I hope you like it. Keep going until, all right? Don't ever forget that. And you think about that analogy of the wells, of pumping the well, or how long would you give your, newborn infant to walk? Your kid's going to walk, right? And so he's got to keep going until, and you're going to keep practicing with him until. Thanks, everybody. This is Make the Call. I'm Dave Gallegos. Please give me a rating and share this with your friends. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you for listening to Make the Call with Dave Gallegos, brought to you by Zenith Home Loans. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe to the show anywhere you listen to podcasts, and share the show with a friend or colleague who would also find value.